produced an AR-type weapon. At that time, the head custodian, who was shepherding students into the classroom, poked his head around the building, saw the gentleman, and drew his attention. It's my understanding that several shots were fired towards the custodian, at which time the custodian observed that he seemed that he had a problem with his gun jamming. And looking at the surveillance footage of the incident, that seems to be the case. There was something going on with the loading process of the weapon. At that time, the lockdown was almost complete. The students got into the classrooms and the door were closed. The custodian's actions in diverting the attention from the shooter at that time gave us the much needed seconds to complete the process. Between that time, the shooter then took his weapon and ran at top speed around the corner into the main quad of the school. And that comprises the classrooms, the cafeteria, and the school office. 8 to 10 seconds had elapsed between the doors being closed for the lockdown and him appearing in the quad. At that time, he can be clearly seen in the surveillance video shooting windows, shooting walls, and shooting doors. The school was completely locked down, and the video surveillance indicates that he looked around, tried some doors, disappeared, tried the main office door, and was unable to gain entry. Came back out into the quad again, fired some more rounds, checked a bathroom door, which was open, no students were present, and then walked to the field, loaded a magazine, and fired out into the neighborhood. And when I say neighborhood, I mean a fenced, forested area. It looked as if that was done in frustration. He then ran back to his vehicle, got in the vehicle, and drove off, and then was subsequently located and dealt with by law enforcement. At that time, the teaching staff did an incredible job. We had a student who was injured in the K1 classroom, struck by 2 rounds. We believe they went through the wall. The shooter at no time gained access to the classrooms through doors or windows. It's my understanding that the rounds went through the wall at this time. He was struck in the chest as well as in the foot. The information that we have from the hospital is that his condition is fair. It's also my understanding that a parent and a student were assaulted on the way to school. We have reports of 2 injuries there, minor injuries to those students. The reason that I'm standing here today and I'm able to speak to you without breaking down and crying is because of the heroic efforts of our school staff. Love and kindness and selflessness, paired with the ability to professionally do what they did, defeated evil yesterday. And the fact is, we don't have another one of those stories where multiple children are dead because of the heroics of my school staff. I cannot say enough about them. The kindergarten teacher and her aide comforted the boy who was shot while he was in the classroom and rendered first aid, meanwhile keeping students calm and contained, and no one panicked. Our school secretary was engaged with talking to myself on the telephone while monitoring the radio with the classrooms so that we could see how folks were doing as it occurred. The response from law enforcement was incredible. They did a great job in responding to the campus and making sure that we were safe. But my employees, my teachers, my aides, my custodian, my secretary, our school secretary, their courage did not end there. We were able to evacuate to a community center where every single one of those employees stayed with our students the entire time until they were picked up by their parents. And their manner was calm and professional and, more important, filled with love. It was a very, very good result to possibly the worst situation that I can imagine. This was an administrator's nightmare. This is every educator in America's worst nightmare, and we were able to get through it with only 1 significant injury. I am brokenhearted about the boy that was injured, but I am truly grateful that we are not suffering any higher penalty. This is a community that is bound together and wants to do its best. There will be a vigil this evening tonight at 6:30 in Rancho Tehama. There is counseling available right now provided by the district and community sources for both community members and students. All of my principals will be out at that ceremony this evening. I will be there as well. This is a community that looks out for each other. And the message that I'm giving you today is that a situation which could have been catastrophic has turned into one for our students of hope and strength. We will reopen the school. They will return to their lives, and everything still remains possible for them in their futures. Questions?
When did you start doing drills at the school?
Up front, please.
When did you start doing drills at the school?
We've been doing drills for years. The fact of the matter is, in this nation, it's a threat that we're all aware of and that we have to deal with, and so all of our schools drill. Those protocols are secret as far as we actually do them, but that's done on a regular basis. It's done professionally, and it made all of the difference here. The drill was performed as trained. The students knew what to do, and the staff knew what to do.
Lockdown is a fairly generic term. You hear it often. Can you be specific what it means to go under lockdown?
Going on lockdown in this situation meant from having students out in the quad playing with the supervision of adults as they were getting ready for school and standing in the office getting ready to process and go into classrooms, to an announcement that we were on lockdown, to adults saying we're on lockdown, you need to go to your rooms, and that being executed.
The doors physically locked?
That's correct.
Are the kids underneath the desk?
That's correct.
How many classrooms and how many teachers were there?
There's 4 classrooms. There are 9 employees. It's 4 teachers? 4 teachers and 5 classified employees.
Can you describe a little bit about what the custodian did, a little more detail on how he tried to divert the
Sure,
attention of the shooter?
sure. And when I do that,
Can you give us his name?
I cannot at this time, and that's per his request. I have some folks that are healing that did an amazing thing yesterday, and right now they're working through that with their community. So on his request, I'm not disclosing his name at this time. But let me tell you what happened. There was no lack of heroics in this whole situation. The school secretary, recognizing the threat that quickly made all the difference between 100 kids being around today and dozens being shot or killed. That amount of seconds was critical. What the custodian did was he was helping to shepherd kids into the classroom, and he heard the crash at the gate and peeked his head around the classroom building and saw him as he came out. He indicated to me that he had eye-to-eye contact with him and that rounds were firing. The video shows that the shooter was struggling with his weapon at that time. He then indicated that he put his head back behind the building and got back to putting kids away. We got all the kids put away with that custodian as well as other staff members getting them into the classroom and getting those doors shut again about anywhere between 8 and 15 seconds of the shooter coming around the corner.
Is it fair to say that the custodian had
Sir.
So from the time that the shooter gets to the school to the time that he leaves, how much?
It's somewhere between. Law enforcement said it was 6 minutes between when he got through the gate and when he left, and I'm going to defer to their judgment. I looked at the video yesterday and then forwarded it to them, but it's my belief that it's somewhere between 4.5 and 6 minutes. Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell us where exactly this little boy was when he was hit, and if the bullets made their way through the wood? Is it wooden, or how was he able?
That's a fair question. It's my understanding from the teacher that they were under the tables and that the rounds came through the building. These are high-powered rounds. I was at the school prior to the students being evacuated, and it looked horrific. Windows were shot out. Bullets are through the walls, into bookshelves, and onwards. It's my understanding that it went through. The building that you're in is similar to the building that it was. It's wood-on-wood construction.
Was this individual known?
Yes.
Maybe you mentioned this earlier, but I missed it. Can you give us the specific time difference between when the lockdown was called and when the shooter ran his truck into the gate?
I would have to look at the video again because I did forward that to law enforcement. But I'm going to tell you that in my recollection, which is imperfect, it happened within 90 seconds to 2 minutes. It was an amazingly efficient lockdown. Yes?
Do you know how the secretary recognized those as gunshots or threatening gunshots as opposed to just people firing in the woods?
There's a commonly held belief that the principal is only the leader in name only, and the school secretary runs the school. So I don't know about intuitive wisdom, but I can tell you that there was a clear perception by all staff that something was dreadfully wrong. The first shot was loud, it was close, but the second two came in close succession, pop, pop, and that was the trigger.
The young boy who was shot, can you elaborate a little bit more on his injuries and how old he is, please?
I can tell you that that information is available in the media currently. Due to privacy concerns of the district, I cannot disclose identity.
You guys practice all the time, but to actually have this happen, can you give us just a sense of what went through your mind when you heard this was real?
I can actually, because I was on the phone with the school secretary as it was going down. My thought was, this is really happening, and that I'm really, really grateful that I have these people dealing with it, because right now what I'm hearing on the phone gives me the best hope that of the best possible solution. I had a great deal of unease about what could happen, and I felt very powerless as I sat there on the phone that I wasn't up there and I couldn't be with my kids. But every educator feels that way. I can tell you that afterwards when I got up there, I was completely reassured by their grit, their resilience, and their love for my kids. This was not a macho self-defense. These were teachers and aides who love kids unconditionally and would do anything for them. And that was the real victory here today,
But educators
yesterday.
take this to heart.
Say again?
This is an attack on educators, too, that this person would target a school.
This was an ill individual. And like I say, this was a situation where evil was overcome by preparation and unconditional love and selflessness.
Did you hear the crackle of gunfire over the phone?
I don't recall. I was focused on her words. I was informed that a student was injured in the kindergarten classroom, and I wanted to get details.
As far as you know, does the shooter have any connection to the school?
As far as I know, the answer to that question is no.
This is a close-knit community. Were you aware of him within the community?
I was not. Now, you talk to the locals about whether or not they knew him. The information I'm gleaning from the media today is that he was a known person. He was not known to the school as a threat.
The young boy, can you give us an age, if you're willing to give the age and what his condition is, how is he doing?
That's available in the media currently. It was a student. It was a K-1 classroom, and he was in that classroom.
Have any schools contacted you about around the country about what went right?
The outpouring from, it's a great question. I've been shocked and stunned by the amount of emails I'm getting from superintendents who have had similar situations in their district. But not only for that, but from school teachers who watched the news last night and were moved to tears, not only by what happened, but quite frankly, the message of hope that this was one where we got past it, and that's. I had a student injured badly, and I'm heartbroken about that. But there's cause for hope here. There's cause for hope if we can lock down and we can eliminate ourselves as an apparent target. Our kids can go home at the end of the day.
When do you anticipate reopening?
We're shut down for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of this week. Next week is set for Thanksgiving vacation. I've not been able to touch bases with our maintenance crew who is out there at the site today, but my goal would be to open at the end of Thanksgiving vacation and when we return.
Rick,
Yes?
we heard this morning that there were other students injured, not shot, but injured. Do you know the condition of those students and how many?
I was told that, I've been told by law enforcement about the students that were injured off campus. I can tell you that I did witness students who had minor injuries due to exploding glass. So when we were at the community center getting kids to go home, we had EMTs present, and we had some students with minor injuries with contusions to their head with little pieces of glass. The kids were... I can't tell you that you were asking about how I felt about things and what it seemed to be. The manner in which our staff dealt and that the authorities dealt with our children in this, the children were in very good spirits.
Will the teachers be made available to speak publicly, or is that?
That's going to be largely up to them. They have the right to speak to the press. Right now I'm speaking for them. I met with them today as a group. They're doing well. They're grieving. They're processing. They want to hunker down together and celebrate the fact that they got through this. I could not be more proud of them. I told them that what they've done for our students is a gift that they'll take with them for the rest of their lives, no matter what they do in this profession or whatever. It's a blessing that's been given to these students forever. Julie.
What kind of counseling are you going to provide after the fact?
And besides being contacted by numerous superintendents and teachers throughout the nation, there's a whole bunch of counseling services which are being offered. The county has some victim witness availability. We have Alternatives to Violence, which is up in Tehama County, also involved. We also have counseling available in the district through the Promise Neighborhood Grant, which is a grant that the district received, a federal grant. We also have counseling being offered to us, quite frankly, from the SELPA, which is our special education district, and from random schools all over the state who are saying, let us know what you need and we'll get you some help. It's amazing, it's humbling, and it's what is needed. I can tell you right now that counselors met with my teachers today and my aides. They will be meeting with students today, this afternoon, and parents and community members up in Rancho Tehama in the coming days.
From the video that you saw, were you able to discern whether the shooter hit each classroom or just that K-1 classroom?
I could tell you that he hit multiple buildings. I could tell you that he shot as he came into the quad, to the left-hand side of the buildings, to the classroom on that side, to the office, which was in the center, which was riddled with bullets, and the K-1 classroom on the right. The whole school was sprayed with gunfire.
The school was the only place that he actually purposely drove to in this 25-minute rampage. Can you categorically say that he was not targeting any specific student, because there's some people in the community who say otherwise?
I have no evidence whatsoever that there was a connection between this gentleman and the school per se.
Could you tell from the video whether he was saying anything or shouting or anything like that?
There's no sound on the video. I could see his face quite clearly, and it was horrific.
How?
He looked angry and disturbed.
Were any of your teachers, did they tell you he was saying or shouting anything?
I did not hear that they heard any words or shouts. There was quite a lot of gunfire. There was quite a lot of high-capacity magazines that were left at the scene, some of which still had live ammunition in them, which is consistent with what I shared earlier, that there may have been problems with the functioning of the weapon.
When you hear that this individual had a restraining order and he should not have had a gun, he turned in a firearm, said he didn't have any others, how do you react to that?
I react to it the same way as an evil guy with a gun coming on my campus. It's not okay. These are my children. These are our children. Our job. We have a couple of jobs. One is to love them unconditionally. The other is to get them educated to the best of our ability, and the other is to get them home safe. Any threat that comes on our campus due to any source is viewed by me in the same way. It's not tolerable, it's not acceptable, and we're going to do everything we can to get our kids home safe.
Can you talk about the teacher in that K-1 classroom, her response to the boy getting shot? Did she immediately tend to him?
It wasn't just her, it was also the aide. She did immediately tend to him. The shot was in the chest, it was under the arm. I understand that they were able to do some direct pressure. They removed a garment. But during that same time, we had in excess of 20 other students in that classroom who were also being taken care of. And it was done flawlessly, you guys. Yes?
Has that school or any other school in your district ever been on lockdown before?
Absolutely, yes. Lockdowns are done as drills, but they're also done as real case scenarios. It typically happens when we receive a message from law enforcement that they're chasing somebody or something's happening. In regards to Rancho Tehama, I cannot tell you specifically of any situation specifically where that happened, but we've never had an active shooter up there.
Did you guys start doing the drills after Sandy Hook or before Sandy Hook?
We've been doing the drills forever, but the increasing immediacy of them has become apparent.
Does that sicken you a little bit?
Pardon me?
Does that make you upset?
It's my reality. It's my reality. And the celebration here today, again, as I stand here, is that we have the hope and the ability to deliver on these students' dreams. They're still going to be around. We won yesterday. Despite the fact that I have a child who's in the hospital who I care deeply about, we won yesterday.
Just to clarify, 8 to 15 seconds passed between full lockdown and Neil coming on campus or coming onto the quad?
Coming onto the quad.
Where kids were, just seconds before.
Correct.
You know, I can't help but notice the kids are leaving right now.
Yes.
These are such innocent little people to have gone through this.
That's absolutely true. And our area of responsibility is not just limited to Rancho Tehama. As I told you, this is a district of 5 schools, and we raise olives and almonds and walnuts. and we love soccer, and we love school. And we're going to take care of all of them. So counseling, the meeting that we had this morning, is not just limited to Rancho Tehama and their staff, but also to all of our staff here within the district as well as our students. We have Rancho Tehama kids who are here today. Our upper grades, 6th, 7th, and 8th, are in class today. Counseling has been made available and will continue to do so. Julie.
Have you had, after yesterday's incident, have you seen less kids attending school today at other of your schools? I mean, as a
Yes.
grandma, I didn't want my grandkids to go to school today.
That's a yes. And that's anticipated. I was actually contacted by Tom Torlakson from the State Department of Education yesterday, and we chatted about attendance, and it's understood by the state that we're going to see a spike in attendance from this, and it's going to be taken care of. It's not, we can't punish kids for being away from school due to a tragedy. And honestly, I closed school Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, so that's the way it is.
District-wide? or
Negative, just for Rancho.
Just at Rancho.
What was the numbers? What was the attendance drop-off because of this?
I can't tell you that, I don't know. Yes, sir.
The congressman for this area, Doug LaMalta.
Yeah.
Last night in reaction, he said this situation could have been prevented if teachers and staff were armed with guns. Do you have any opinion about that?
The congressman is welcome to make his own statements in regard to that issue. My feeling is that my job at the end of the day, the beginning of the day, and the middle of the day is to protect my kids in the best way that I can. I believe that we did that yesterday. Any other questions?
Would you feel better if there was a person that was armed on your campuses?
And the same response to the question. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Be well.